In the harsh, unforgiving Sahara Desert, two young men from a struggling tribe are sent on a desperate journey to find a fabled oasis that could save their people. One relies on his physical strength, determined to overpower the desert's challenges, while the other uses quiet intuition and patience, learning to adapt. As the journey grows more treacherous, the stronger man collapses, and they discover that survival in the desert requires more than strength. It demands wisdom, endurance, and the ability to move with the land, not against it. Will they find the oasis before it's too late? Stay to the end to uncover the truth of survival in the wildest of environments. In the unforgiving expanse of the Sahara, where the horizon blends with the burning sky and the sun rules over a sea of golden sand, there was a tribe that had mastered the desert's brutal rhythms. These people had survived countless generations in a place where the weak were quickly forgotten and only the fittest remained. But even for them, survival was growing harder. The wells that had sustained the tribe were drying up, and the once predictable winds had changed. There were whispers of a legendary oasis, one hidden deep within the desert. It was said that this oasis held enough water to save them all, but reaching it was nearly impossible. Those who had tried had never returned. The tribe's elders, desperate, chose two young men to find this lifeline. One was known for his strength, broad-shouldered, confident, and eager to prove himself. The other was different, quieter, always observing, his eyes seeming to read what others couldn't see. From the moment they set out, it was clear how different they were. The stronger man took the lead, charging ahead with a determination that seemed unshakable. He was sure that if he just kept pushing, the desert would eventually give way and the oasis would reveal itself. The quieter man followed, watching the stars at night and the way the wind shifted the dunes during the day. He said little, but made small adjustments, guiding them subtly when needed. At first, the journey seemed manageable, but the Sahara has a way of testing even the strongest. Days passed and the sun scorched their backs as the sand shifted endlessly beneath their feet. Their water ran low, and the vastness of the desert began to feel like a trap, with every dune looking like the last. The stronger man grew frustrated. "Where is it?" he shouted into the empty desert. "We should have found it by now!" But the desert offered no answer. He pushed their camels harder, ignoring the signs of exhaustion in their eyes, and rushed ahead despite the quiet man's warnings. "We need to conserve our strength," the quieter man advised, his voice calm even as the heat pressed down on them. "This desert won't be rushed." But the stronger man couldn't listen. He had always relied on his strength, on the power to push through obstacles. In his mind, this desert was just another challenge to be overcome by sheer will. But the Sahara is not something to be fought, it is something you survive. Soon the strain became too much. The stronger man collapsed in the sand, gasping, his body no longer able to fight. He had given everything he had, but it wasn't enough. "The desert, it's killing us," he muttered, his voice barely a whisper. The quieter man knelt beside him, but instead of despair, there was a calm certainty in his eyes. "It's not the desert that's killing us," he said quietly. "It's how we move through it." That night, under a sky thick with stars, the quieter man pointed to the heavens. "The signs are there, you just have to know how to read them." He had been following the stars, watching the wind, sensing the desert's pulse. Slowly, the stronger man began to understand. The desert wasn't something you conquered, it was something you adapted to. From that moment on, they traveled differently. They moved with the desert, not against it. They slowed their pace, allowing their camels to rest, rationing their water more carefully. And instead of fighting to push forward, they followed the signs, the subtle shifts in the dunes, the way the night air cooled before dawn. Days later, they felt it. A change in the air, a breeze that smelled like life, like water. The quiet man smiled for the first time in days. "We're close." And then, just as the desert had seemed endless, the oasis appeared. It was no mirage. There, surrounded by tall palms and crystal-clear water, was the life they had been searching for. The stronger man fell to his knees in disbelief, drinking deeply from the cool water, his body reawakening with every sip. They returned to the tribe as heroes. But more than the water they brought back, it was the lesson that mattered. Strength wasn't enough to survive the desert. It was wisdom, patience, and knowing when to listen. Their story spread through the tribe, a reminder that in the harshest places on Earth, survival isn't about overpowering the environment, it's about adapting to it. The desert, they learned, doesn't care how strong you are. It rewards those who are fit in mind, spirit, and heart. And in the end, that's what keeps you alive. The two men's journey through the Sahara became more than just a quest for survival. It became a lesson for everyone. Strength alone was not enough in a world as unforgiving as the desert. It was wisdom, patience, and the ability to listen to the world around them that allowed them to find life where others would have perished. The desert does not bend to those who fight it. It rewards those who learn to move with it, adapting and enduring. The lesson spread far beyond their tribe. Survival isn't just about being the strongest, but about being the most resilient, the most aware, and the most adaptable. Peace. Ma salam.